What's going on, my friends? Welcome back to Vital Point. I gotta be careful because I'm holding a sharp broadhead here, and today we are actually gonna review broadheads, specifically the Iron Will broadhead, which I used all last season. I'll tell you why I chose it and how it worked out for me. Hey everybody, it's Andrew Penzi. Welcome back to Vital Point. Today we're talking about broadheads, and I'll tell you why I switched to a solid broadhead, specifically the Iron Will broadhead. I was using expandables for a number of years, a bunch of different expandables, and I was just tired of them breaking. I'm tired of the little O-rings popping off and losing the O-rings, them being deployed already before I take the shot, them cracking, the ferrule cracking in half when I hit a bone, or not getting pass-throughs. I just wasn't getting pass-throughs for the longest time, and I was done with it. I'm over it. No more expandables for me, so I'm switching to a solid head. And for a while I used the Montex, which are a very popular head. I think it's a great design, but the problem I was having with them is that, I'll see if I can show you this up close. Let's see if I'll show you against this here. The very tips, if you hit anything solid, see the way that tip is kind of curled over? And then once that happens, it's very hard to sharpen that out. You could sharpen it, but it'll never be quite as pointy as it was when you first bought it, because the angle is just going to be different. So that's the problem. And even with the high-grade steel Montex, I was having that issue. I did shoot some Q80 Exodus. I really like those. They seem to be performing very well for me. But it was time to bump up my game, and the Iron Wills just caught my eye. These things are a solid head. They are just a thing of beauty. First of all, let's talk about the steel. The steel, they are like double the steel thickness of any other blade just about out there, all the popular blades at least. These are, I think, 0.062 thickness, which is heavy duty, man. This thing it just feels solid. As soon as I saw this thing, I'm like, wow, like you just know this is gonna pass through whatever you put it through. So when the broadheads first arrive, they arrive in this cute little box. You get a pack of 3 of these guys, and you open it up. It's like opening up, a diamond ring or something, and there it is. Yes, the answer is yes. Little thing of beauty nestled inside, even with the black velvet, interior there. Take them out. Now these have been shot a couple times, so they're a little dinged up. Now these are not cheap blades. You are paying a premium for top quality blades here, and they come in at about $100 for a pack of 3. It's $100. That's a lot of money to spend on a broadhead. Believe me, I thought about it for a long time before I pulled the trigger. But you are paying for the best, guys. This is an absolutely beautiful box if you wanted to give it as a wedding gift or something like that. But frankly, I wish Iron Will would just eliminate the boxes and make the cost of the whole bundle a little bit less. You are getting a lifetime warranty. They will stand behind their product. Now, if you lose a broadhead, unfortunately, you are crap out of luck. I don't think the lifetime warranty is going to cover that. Early this season, I shot right over a deer's back. And a short while later, it actually came back along with a group of others. And I had a second opportunity. I took another shot with another arrow, and I got a deflection. That arrow exploded into a million pieces, I think, and it went into oblivion. I never saw it again. You figure each broadhead is about $33. Arrows, 14, 15 bucks. The knock, another 10 bucks. The fletching, I mean, that arrow was probably $60, $65 by the time all was said and done. That hurts. All right, I had to move inside because I was freezing my tuchus off out there. There's a lot of buzz out there right now about single bevel broadheads, such as the Bishop, because supposedly when they hit bone, they spin through the bone because of that single bevel, and it helps crack the bone. I don't doubt that that's true. The Iron Wills actually have a double bevel, not a single bevel. However, I still prefer the Iron Wills because of the 4-blade design. Most of the single bevels I've seen out there only have 2 blades in order to get that rotation working for them. So I'd prefer to have a 4-blade head that's going to allow more blood to come through than a single bevel, which might crack bone easier but won't allow the blood to pass through as easily. I have no doubt that both will work just fine, but I just prefer the 4-blade version. So that's why I went with Iron Will versus something like the Bishop. The bleeder blades are really stout on these. They're just super strong. They're not going to crack at all. Very sharp. These broadheads are the only heads that I've ever bought that were literally like razor sharp out of the box. I could shave my hair with these heads when I got them out of the box. It was a pleasure to get them like that. Recreating that is always a little tough. I'll need to work on my sharpening skills, but that's true with any broadhead. The good thing, however, about these is that they are durable. I've shot these heads multiple times in the dirt, in the sand, through deer, and they are holding up very, very well. I was able to shoot the same head about 4 times in the dirt without any damage really noticeable before I felt like I had to touch it up a little bit. They were super sharp and maintained their sharpness. These broadheads also are sharpened on the back side, which is pretty cool, so that if you do get stuck inside a deer and that arrow's flailing, hitting bushes and stuff like that as the deer is running, that's going to be continuing to cut from all sides, all directions. I think that's a big advantage. But that hasn't been an issue for me at all this year because I've gotten pass-throughs finally. This is the first year I have had consistent pass-throughs on all my deer I've shot, and it's just such a pleasure blood trailing a deer. I mean, everybody hates that feeling when you shoot a deer and you see your arrow go running off in the darkness and then it disappears. Your blood trail starts wearing out and you get that feeling of panic, like, oh no, I lost the arrow, can't find the blood trail. It's a sickening feeling. So being able to get a pass through and analyze your arrow to me is really important. That's why I think getting a solid compact head is worth it. I would much rather have a pass through with a smaller hole than only get halfway through with a larger hole. Hey, leave us a comment down below and let us know what broadhead you guys are using and why. And while you're down there, hit that like button and subscribe as well, if you're so inclined. Regarding sharpening these, Iron Will does have on their website some instructions on how to do it. I think you're best off buying a little sharpening kit. They're a little pricey. I haven't gotten one yet, but eventually I'll have to get one of those. I tried doing it on a stone. It's a little tricky on the stone, but I do recommend taking the head apart before sharpening. Otherwise you end up bumping into the bleeder blades when trying to sharpen the main blade and vice versa. It comes apart pretty easily. And like any head, eventually it will need maintenance, but it'll last you longer and the maintenance will be less frequent. Nice thing about the Iron Wills is that you have a lot of choices. You can go with a solid version such as this, or they make also a vented version which looks really cool, and I think either would do perfectly fine. I went with the solid just because I thought it might pass through a little bit easier. If you have a vented head, and I'll just refer to the Montec for now, and let's pretend that this pen is a bone. If you crack the bone, there's a chance that like a splinter of the bone could get kind of caught up in there and maybe deflect the head a little bit. I think you can't go wrong with either solid or vented, but I just like the look of the solid. A lot of people say that solid is quieter too through the air. I mean, by the time a deer hears this flying through the air, I think it will have passed through it already. So personally, I'm not real concerned about that. If anything, I think the deer is going to hear the bow slap going off from the string versus the arrow flight through the air. So personally, I'm not too concerned. But if you're concerned about the noise, that might be something to consider. Now, another nice thing about the Iron Wills is they come in a wide variety of weights, and everyone's concerned these days about high FOC, increasing their arrow weight, getting those manly arrows, as Ranch Fairy says. So, and I'm on board with that. So these are 125 grain heads. I might actually go up to 150s or something even a little higher this year just to play around and see how that works out for me. But you have choices. So if you want to play around with increasing your arrow weight and getting your FOC up there for better pass-throughs, if you're shooting larger game, elk or bear or something like that, it's something to consider. In their lightest weights, the ferrule itself is titanium, but then as you step into the higher weights, it's all steel. The blades are made with A2 steel. It's got a good balance of sharpness and hardness. Now this year, if some of you guys are concerned that it's only 1.1/16 wider and you do want that wider cut, they are coming out with a new wide cut Iron Will version. I believe it's vented only. It is a 1 3/8 inch cut wide. It looks pretty cool, I gotta tell you. I'm thinking I might want to give that a whirl this year and just see how it works. As long as you have enough kinetic energy, I think you'll still get good pass-throughs, and these heads are sharp enough and durable enough that I don't think pass-throughs will be an issue even with a wide cut. A lot of broadheads have just a continuous angle from the back edge all the way to the tip. Now, the iron wills, the angle changes. They have this little tanto style tip. That just adds durability, makes it a little bit easier to sharpen that tip without screwing up the angle of your main blades. I think you're better off with a solid head, heavy duty, it's not gonna break, it's gonna get the job done, you're gonna get a pass through, good blood. What more do you want in a broadhead? That's it. Super sharp out of the box. You know what? I'm just really happy with these guys, and I think I'm gonna continue using them next year too. This is your host, Andrew Penzi, guys. Hope you found this video helpful. Just be careful of where you're aiming. Make sure you're always aiming for that vital point. All right, guys, I will catch you next time. Hey, by the way, if you like my shirt, that's my buddy from Sean's Outdoor Adventures. Go check out his YouTube channel. He's got a great channel. And pick up a shirt while you're on his website. He's got some great stuff. And the black shirt shows off the Iron Will broadhead so nicely.